it's Lori Alvarez, and we're going to talk all about today buyer's remorse, or, buyers bailing on a purchase contract after they put the house under contract, or opened escrow, or contingent, or, you guys go, what does pending mean? What does under contract mean? What does back on market mean? What does active mean? What the heck is all the language you use, Lori Alvarez, in real estate? Look, okay, here's the deal. Buyers write an offer on the property, and the seller says, yes, we accept that offer subject to whatever terms were negotiated in the contract. So what that means is you all are now, buyer and seller, and the agents involved, under contract. Now remember, this is subject to us here in California, and you, as the buyer and seller, need to talk with a real estate attorney if you really want to understand the details of this, because full disclosure, I'm not a real estate attorney. I'm a realtor, and you don't have to have a real estate attorney involved for a transaction, but you do have the option. Just so you know, if you wanted to pay a real estate attorney, you could. So, okay, disclaimers out of the way now. Yes, disclaim. It just is part of what happens here in the beautiful world of California real estate. So home buyers are getting a ton of what we call remorse. They're like, oh my gosh, I got the house. And then they're like, oh my gosh, look at the sales price. Oh no, look at the interest rate. And then, oh my goodness, look at these repairs. Yep, that's what's happening. And so then buyers are saying, no way, it's wiping my bank account out. I'm not going to do this. I don't feel good about this. I don't feel safe about this. It costs so much money. It's realistically one of the scariest things a buyer can do, right? And even a seller. You both have a tough challenge here. Selling your house, taking it off the market, accepting an offer, and then a buyer turning around and buying a house and potentially clearing out their bank account, which is not what you should do. Don't clear out your bank account. Have some money in savings so you feel confident and good about what you're doing. So you ask, can I cancel once I'm under contract? Look, I can't advise to the contract that you're currently in. I can just tell you that our standard contract is written so that buyers have the right to cancel. Sellers, you don't. The only right you have to cancel is if a buyer doesn't perform within their contractual obligations. Then sellers, you can give a notice to perform and cancel while in an active escrow. While not in an active escrow, then it just depends on the listing agreement, sellers, that you write with the agent that you listed the property with. And that's a whole different podcast episode that we're not going to discuss today. What we're talking about is timeline contingencies in our standard California Association of Realtors contract. Okay, here's the deal. Interest rates got higher. Interest rates are going up. And then the market started to slow down. The reality is, for November of 2023, total new listings that hit the entire MLS is 15,983 properties. That's it. Now, what's our highest amount of inventory that I see here? Back in May of 2019, and I'm pulling this information from InfoSparks, which is the California Association of Realtors, the MLS's information, entire MLS. So in May of 2019, total amount of new listings looks like it's our highest in the last 5 years, is 3,219 total listings. That's like twice the amount even a little more than twice the amount of current inventory available today for entire listings. And let me tell you this, that has dropped dramatically. So in May of 2023, we had a total amount of 2,570 total listings available, and we are now down to just under 16,000 properties for sale. Now, bear in mind, it's November and December. The market always gets quieter. Great tip for you as a buyer, as a seller, the market always gets quieter in November and December. Want to maximize your sales price? Put your house up for sale in November and December. Only serious buyers are out during that time. So, total inventory as of November of 2023, again, 15,983 properties. Wow. Our lowest to date for total inventory from the last 5 years was December 2022. We only had 10,799 properties for sale in the entire MLS. I'm telling you, inventory is a challenge. It's our lowest to date. Lowest to date. So, back on to why buyers might cancel. Well, we talked about it, right? Buyers are worried about the costs related. They get fearful and scary and they think maybe, well, I didn't buy the right property. I mean, we just recently put a very smart buyer under contract. He got a great condo with us. And when I say recent, this is like in the last 60 days. He got a great contract with us, a great condo, put him under contract, found him just the right home. He did all the necessary inspections and found out that there was more work than he was anticipating. That's natural. You naturally find that out. So we said, let's try and see if the seller will negotiate with us. Guess what? The seller negotiated with us, and the seller said, sure, I'll go ahead and adjust the price. Not exactly as he requested, but they did say, I'll go ahead and do it. So they adjusted the price and they were willing to move forward. And the buyer was still completely uncertain and felt that his bank account was just going to be, well, emptier than he really wanted it to be. And this property was costing him more than he really wanted to spend or felt comfortable with. So he withdrew from the transaction. No penalty to him. Sure, he paid for a home inspection, but that's a great investment to save from maybe a 400, 500, 600, 700 million dollar mistake, right? So he paid for a home inspection. He did not get that money back. Paid for an appraisal, did not get that money back, and decided this just wasn't the house for him after doing that home inspection. And the reality is, it can happen. Home inspections are where a lot of transactions fall apart. And they're also a great way to keep you as a buyer from making a bigger mistake than you really can afford. Now, on the flip side of that coin, buyers realize no property is going to be perfect. Even new construction isn't perfect. I mean, I had a client I helped many years ago that bought new construction and they put all the floors down in the house. And about, I want to say, 120 to 200 days later, the new construction builders had used this spray paint on the concrete floor to mark out certain areas. Well, guess what started coming up through the flooring that was put down? Yes, that bright orange paint. So look, there is no perfect turnkey property out there. all properties have challenges. You, as the buyer, just have to decide what you can handle financially moving into a transaction. That's just what it is. So, we call you and we say, congratulations, you've bought your home. After you wrote a great offer, you're now under contract. And here in California, where I am, you have to deposit into escrow within 72 hours of acceptance unless you negotiate something different in the contract. Again, I'm going to use standard timelines. Know that all these timelines can be changed or modified, and you should talk with your agent direct about what your contract says. So here we go. 72 hours deposit needs to go into escrow, and now we're under contract. What does that mean? You've opened escrow. You're on the beginning stages of buying your home, sweet home. It may not be perfect, and it's going to be yours. So decide if you can afford it. So what's the first question you ask? Well, can I back out? Sure, you can. Through your contingency timeline, per the contract you wrote, you definitely can back out of an accepted contract, right? You do all of the necessary things. Say, for example, you decide the trees in the backyard are just too much for you to handle. You can back out. Yes, you can. And will you get what I said? Remember, you had to deposit into escrow. Will you get that deposit back as long as those contingencies haven't been released? You better believe your deposit should come back to you. Now, buyer beware, an escrow company might charge you a processing fee. I'm not a big fan of this when escrow companies do it. And I'm just letting you know, if you sign your escrow instructions, that means you are in agreement with those escrow instructions, which may have a cancellation clause in there. They could charge you $250, $350, whatever it is they write in the contract. But per the California Association of Realtors contract, you should get all of your deposit back, less any fees escrow wants to charge you, or any fees seller says they want to charge you that you agreed to, right? So this is your time. You have due diligence. You have the time to inspect, check out the reports, review the disclosures, talk with anyone you want to about this great property. And if any of that is unsatisfactory, any of it makes you think, oh no, I shouldn't do it, don't do it. Go ahead and withdraw. And before you do that, have a great conversation with your professional real estate agent and say, these are the things I'm thinking, and these are the things that I'm struggling with. What do you think? Then we can help you item by item, line by line, go through the details of it and see if it's something that can be resolved so that you can still buy this house, or see if it's just, that's it. It just doesn't make great sense. With a great agent on your side, they're going to help you look out for what makes best sense for you, not for us or the seller. They're going to help you walk through it line by line, item by item, inspection by inspection. Hey, and inspections can get costly. You have a plumber, you have a roofer, you can do all of these inspections, and they're non-refundable, buyers, and they're well worth it. So do the due diligence, have the inspections, right? So you have contingencies. Our standard timelines are 17 days. You review all the seller disclosures. They're going to tell you everything they know about the property. You're going to review all of your reports. If you've got concerns about plumbing or you've got concerns about the roof, you want to have a roofer out there. Now, you might say, well, doesn't the seller have to tell me this stuff? If the seller's aware of it, you better believe it. If the seller has a report, you better believe it. And if the seller doesn't know or the seller doesn't have a report, they can't provide it to you, and they're not required to go get one just because you discovered it. You're required to do that. The seller only provides what they actively know about the property. And it's really only the last 3 to 4 years that they're going to give you that information, because what happened 20 years ago is likely unrelevant to what's currently happening in the last few years. Okay? So, say you decide, and I just had this happen, say you decide to buy the property with no contingencies attached. Oh my gosh, hold on, flashing lights. We, as brokers and agents, aren't going to advise you to do that, and you really want to do it. That's your decision. We're going to have you sign a document that says you did it and it was against our recommendations, right? Because then guess what? You can't get out of the deal and you could lose some money. So be sure to keep some contingencies so you can do what's necessary so that you feel fully satisfied to move to your close of escrow. I have another circumstance that's being brought to my attention where the buyer had over 5 months, because we had a 5-month escrow, and the buyer had over 5 months to do the necessary due diligence over and over and over and over and over again. And we notified them numerous times about what was happening at a vacant home, and still they say they didn't know. I don't get it. You were notified. Your agent was notified. I don't know. Maybe your agent forgot to tell you. I, as the seller's representative, am supposed to notify your buyer's agent, and your buyer's agent should notify you that you are aware of this, right? So if you don't have a contingency, you can't bail on the deal, man. If you say, like, hey, I'm going to buy it and I don't want to have my appraisal contingency, guess what? You can't bail due to the appraisal coming in less than the written offer accepted contract price. Okay? You just can't do it because you said, I'm not making it contingent on that idea. I'm cool with that thing, right? So let's just talk a little bit about when it's too late to back out of buying your home, right? When is it oh my goodness, too late to back out of buying your home? Well, the reality is it's too late when you've signed off on all those contingencies, but not too late to potentially cancel. You just might lose the majority or some of or a lot of and up to a percentage of your earnest money deposit. So you don't want to sign off on your contingencies, which are loan, appraisal, home inspection, reports, disclosures. I mean, there's plenty of them out there for you to review and review and review and review until you're fully satisfied. And you even have the right to request an extension if you need more time. Now, if the seller declines that extension, then, well, you need to make a decision. So if you haven't done all your necessary due diligence and the seller isn't going to be cooperative and you're still feeling pretty uncertain as a buyer, you probably, well, just need to pull out of the transaction because you don't want to proceed to a close of escrow until you've been fully satisfied of all conditions. Okay? Look, you just want to make sure you're fully satisfied. What does that really mean? That means you've done all the necessary inspections, had the right licensed professionals out there to investigate your areas of concern and move to a close of escrow, right? Otherwise, if you can't do that, you can't satisfy your concerns, well, then you may as well just not make the purchase. It's just the reality of the market. And look at pending home sales have dropped. In November, we dropped to only 10,807 pending home sales. 10,000. That's it for the entire MLS, right? And the lowest we were was in December of 2022 when we were at 11,083. Well, we've fallen lower than that at 10,000. So almost 1,000 less. What does a pending sale mean? It means we're under contract and buyers are doing their necessary due diligence around their purchase so they can decide if they want to buy this home. So, guys, it isn't easy to move forward, and buyer's remorse is for sure a serious problem. I mean, back in April of 2021, we were at the highest, March of 2021, we were at the highest amount of pending home sales in the last 5 years was 827,000 pending home sales. And today we're at 10,807. It tells you that the real estate market has definitely cooled off.